This message is being broadcast through the Community Access Center. This message is being issued by local authorities due to a large event in your local area and has been authorized by local broadcasting agencies. There is no emergency. Repeating, there is no emergency. If there was an emergency, official details and instructions would have followed the alert tone. This message will include a pre-recorded message from the head of security at the UN headquarters, Tom Adams. It is recommended you listen to this brief bulletin, as it will contain important information about the following few days.
Hello citizens of New York City. My name is Tom Adams, and I am the head of security at the UN headquarters. Tomorrow, the General Assembly of the United Nations will be voting on the issue of Switzerland joining the UN. This will be a 2-day process, possibly 3 days. Due to this, all roads within a half-mile of the UN headquarters will be closed and unable to be used, unless proper identification is presented. This area will extend from East 34th Street to the south, to Lexington Avenue in the west, to East 57th Street in the north, and will also include Queens Midtown Tunnel and a portion of FDR Drive. If you normally use any of these roads or roads that are close to the UN headquarters for travel or for your commute, please find another way to get to your destination, as this is a matter of international security. Thank you for your time and your cooperation.
This concludes the activation of the Community Access Center. Thank you for your time and understanding.
Good morning everyone. My name is Max Richter, here with Big Apple News and Weather. Today, the big story comes from our own city, as the UN is voting on whether to allow Switzerland, a famously neutral country, to enter the United Nations. This would make the Swiss the 190th member state. Ironically, they rejected a place in the General Assembly back in 1986, claiming their neutrality. Looks like they've finally decided that joining the UN would help all of mankind after all. In other news, the Mets defeated the Phillies 6-4 last night, solidifying the Atlanta Braves division win, while the Yankees have also won their division. They play a twilight doubleheader against the Orioles tonight.
The following message is being transmitted by the North American Aerospace Defense Command, in conjunction with the National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the United States government. Citizens of the United States, lock all your doors and go to the innermost room of your home or business. A shelter-in-place warning is in effect for the United States until further notice. At 10:29 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NASA detected multiple unidentified flying objects appearing and entering Earth's orbit. Some have entered in orbit near the Moon, while others have gotten as close as the International Space Station. The nature of these objects are unknown at this time. All residents of the United States are ordered to shelter in place. Do not go outside under any circumstances. Remain away from windows and doors. Make sure you have food, water, clothing, and medical supplies for 14 days. Do not come out of your shelter until an all clear is given. Stay tuned to local news media for information on this developing situation. The following message is being transmitted by the Department of Defense, in conjunction with the White House, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. This is an update to the shelter-in-place warning issued exactly 1 hour ago. Please listen carefully. At 11:39 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the above-listed agencies detected the unidentified flying objects positioning themselves over various major cities. This has also been confirmed by governments across the world as these objects are flying over big cities. These objects have been determined to be massive ships of unknown origin and of unknown intent. Due to this, all airborne commercial flights have been ordered to land immediately, and the airspace around the world is being closed as this message is transmitted. All flights have been diverted to the nearest safe landing area. The Secretary of Defense has raised the readiness level of the United States military to DEFCON 3. Locations where these ships have been spotted include, but are not limited to, New York City, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Birmingham, New Orleans, Dallas, Phoenix, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, Portland, Seattle, Chicago, and Charlotte. The United States Air Force and the United States Navy are being mobilized to readiness positions, in case the intentions of these craft are shown to be hostile. It is asked of all citizens that the phone lines be left open for official use. Do not use your phone unless you are dialing 911. If you reside in any of the locations listed above or in the surrounding areas, it is strongly advised you evacuate immediately. This is not a mandatory evacuation, however. All other citizens of the United States are ordered to shelter in place unless you are evacuating the current area. If you evacuate, tie a white piece of fabric around your mailbox or door to alert authorities you have evacuated. If you cannot do so, dial 911, and law enforcement will help you evacuate. If you are not evacuating, shelter in place immediately. Lock and barricade all windows and doors, turn off all lights, and move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Do not exit your shelter under any circumstances, unless an all clear is given. Gather enough food, water, clothing, medical supplies, and other essential items to last you for at least 14 days, as well as a battery-powered radio and chargers for your mobile devices. Dial 911 if you have an emergency, or have any new info on these ships. Martial law is now in effect.
This message is being transmitted by the flagship Invisible Hand of the Army of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. This is an ultimatum issued to the primitive inhabitants of the planet Earth. Surrender immediately, and we will let you live. The Confederacy will take care of you, in exchange for your world and resources. This decision rests in your leader's hands. Terms will be negotiated after surrender. If you do not surrender, your world will begin to be destroyed and your people will begin to die, until you fall to your knees, begging for mercy. Our leader, Count Dooku, will come down to ensure a peaceful transfer of power and see to the Confederacy taking over. You have 1 hour to decide. Choose wisely, as your decision has consequences.
The following message is being transmitted by the Federal Communications Commission, in conjunction with the White House and broadcasting agencies across the nation. This is a broadcast correction notification. At 11:42 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, An emergency update was sent out to the nation through the primary entry point system concerning the unidentified flying objects in the Earth's atmosphere. Towards the end of the broadcast, the signal appeared to be hijacked. The source of the hijacking was traced back to the largest ship orbiting near Earth. What followed was an ultimatum: surrender or die. The leaders of the world have heard this ultimatum and plans are being made for a global defense against these invaders. If you observe emergency alerts that have not been issued by local, state, or national authorities, disregard them and call to report the incident to law enforcement. At this time, if you are in any city or surrounding areas that have ships overhead, evacuate immediately. This is a federally enforced evacuation. The United States Army, the National Guard, and law enforcement agencies across the nation have been given executive orders to evacuate any and all cities where these ships are present. When you evacuate, tie a white piece of cloth around your mailbox or doorknob to alert authorities of your evacuation. If you cannot do so, dial 911, and law enforcement or the military will help you evacuate. If there are no ships overhead where you are, continue to shelter in place. Do not come outside under any circumstances, unless an all clear is given. Martial law is still in effect. Stay tuned to local news and media outlets for information and updates on this dangerous and developing situation. This is an emergency action notification. All broadcast and cable stations shall transmit this emergency action notification message. This station has interrupted its regularly scheduled programming at the request of the White House to participate in the emergency alert system. During this emergency, most stations will remain on the air to provide news and information to the public in assigned areas. This is WTAK. We will continue to serve all of the New York City metropolitan area. If you are not in this area, you should now tune into stations providing news and information for your local area. You are listening to the emergency alert system serving the New York City metropolitan area. Do not use the telephone. The telephone line should be kept open for emergency use. The emergency alert system has now been activated. We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming at the request of the White House. This is the emergency alert system. All normal programming has been discontinued during this emergency. This is WTAK. We will continue to provide news, official information, and instructions to the New York City metropolitan area. If you are not in this area, you should now tune to stations providing news and information for your local area. Do not use the telephone. The telephone line should be kept open for emergency use. The emergency alert system has now been activated. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the White House, in conjunction with the Department of Defense and the governments of the world. This is an invasion warning. An invasion warning is sounded when a hostile military force attempts to, or is in the process of invading the United States. This is not a test. Repeating, this is not a test. Please listen carefully, as your life could be in danger. At 12:42 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the hour-long limit on the invaders' ultimatum expired. The nations of the world that had nuclear weapons decided to come together and launch every available nuclear weapon at these ships in our atmosphere. This attack was a partial success, but was not enough to destroy the entire fleet. Along with that, civilian power grids have been fried from electromagnetic pulses resulting from the nuclear blasts in the atmosphere. These ships have now begun to deploy ground forces, along with deploying fighter craft in the skies and raining down orbital bombardments on major cities. These ground forces, along with their fighter ships and larger capital ships in orbit, are using weapons that can be best described as using beams of energy to inflict damage and destruction. These beams give off harmful radiation and immense heat. If you are struck by one with no protection, you will most certainly die. However, these blaster beams from the infantry cannot penetrate steel. This is not the case for their airborne ships or heavy ground vehicles, as they can decimate buildings easily. The soldiers in these ground forces are reported to be robots, standing at approximately 6 feet 6 inches in height, armed with energy rifles in colored tan, gray, or rust brown. These robots appear to be only attempting to kill military personnel, but are taking civilians as prisoners of war. They also have battle tanks in their ranks, which are engaging U.S. forces and tanks at every turn. Currently, the UN headquarters in New York City is under siege, trapping the representatives of the world inside. The robot army has been predicted to march on Washington, D.C. within the next 30 minutes, but a defense plan has been put into place. All 5 branches of the United States Armed Forces are attempting to repel and destroy this army. The Secretary of Defense has raised the global readiness level of the military to DEFCON 1, as nuclear conflict is taking place. At this time, if you are in a war zone and have not evacuated, do so now. Not doing so is putting you and your loved ones at risk of being wounded or killed in the crossfire, and is breaking martial law. This is a crime, and you will be arrested and prosecuted under the full extent of the law. If you cannot evacuate, seek out an underground shelter immediately. If you are not in a war zone, continue to shelter in place. Do not come outside under any circumstances, as you will be putting yourself in danger and breaking martial law. If you can, cover all window sills and cracks with towels or cloth. Do not investigate any odd or strange noises outside or within your shelter. Do not answer your door for anyone. If you have pets outdoors, leave them outside. Remain calm and do not panic. Panicking will only make the situation worse. Martial law will remain in effect. Repeating, this is an invasion warning for any area receiving this message.
Citizens of planet Earth, my name is Admiral Wolfie Lauren, of the Grand Army of the Galactic Republic. I speak on behalf of the Jedi General, Anakin Skywalker, from the flagship Resolute. We have come to save you and protect you from the Separatist invasion underway against your world. Please, remain calm and stay in your shelters. We're here to help you. We will be collaborating with your leaders to drive the Separatists away and back into deep space. We can also see that your power grids have been rendered disabled. Once the battle is finished, we will help you rebuild your infrastructure and advance your technology, if you accept our help. But for now, remain calm, stay in your shelters, stay away from battle sites, and listen to your leaders to stay safe. We apologize for hacking your alert system, but this is the best way for us to mass communicate with your world.
The following administrative message is being transmitted at the request of the United States government, in conjunction with the other governments of Earth and officials from the Galactic Republic. This is an all-clear message. You may now come out of your shelters, as it is safe to do so. Over the last 2 weeks, the armed forces of all able nations, along with reinforcements from the Galactic Republic, drove the Confederacy of Independent Systems back, eventually forcing them to surrender on the coastlines of various continents. At this time, engineers and technicians of the Republic are working on restoring the power grids across the world. This will take time, as the initial nuclear blasts crippled the grids. Soldiers of the Republic, known as clone troopers, are currently working with military and law enforcement to help people resettle into their cities and homes. These clone troopers stand at 6 feet tall, and wear armor of various colors along with helmets that conceal their entire head. If you see them, do not fight them. They are friendlies and allies of Earth. Due to the loss of power, perishable food has gone bad and water treatment plants are performing at an underwhelming rate. The Republic will be sending food, water, and supplies in the coming days to help Earth rebuild. Whether the planet will band together and join the Republic under its banner remains to be seen, as the United Nations will be convening to discuss once the world has recovered from this attempted invasion and overthrow of the world's governments, albeit that it is very likely. Thank you for your cooperation during these difficult 2 weeks. We will survive, we will press on, and we will rebuild. Again, this is an all-clear message. You may exit your shelters at this time.